Okay, everybody. Hi, this is Liz Hugessen speaking, and I'm here with Paul Nazareth. I represent the Giving Tuesday team, and I speak on behalf of Give3 as well. Paul, of course, is with Canada Helps and is well known to the CAGP community as a presenter and teacher in many forms. Go ahead and say hi, Paul.
Hey, everybody.
So thank you so much for joining us today. We're very excited to be giving you a special Giving Tuesday primer, and our purpose today is really to give you an introduction to Giving Tuesday in terms of what it's all about and some ideas on how you can participate. And we hope just to inspire you to get more chapters involved, more chapters actively participating when it comes to December 1st. And so that's our goal today. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we start. There will be a recording available, posted on YouTube after the webinar today, and you will receive a link to that from Anastasia after we finish up today. Also, if you have any questions while we're talking, you can access a Q&A link from your screen. If you're on a Google Hangout, you should see a button on the left which you hover over and you open up a Q&A window. If you're directly on YouTube, there's a question button. Look for that, and if you have any questions or you have trouble accessing the Q&A, you can always access either myself or Paul after the webinar today, and we'd be happy to have a talk with you. So we're going to go ahead and get started. The first introduction we already made, so that's myself, Liz Hugessen. You can reach me through my email. Is probably the best way, liz@give3.ca. And Paul Nazareth with Canada Helps, and that's his contact information on the screen as well. What we want to talk about today is what is Giving Tuesday, get you to mark your calendars because it's coming up quickly. It's exactly 4 weeks from yesterday. So now's a good time to start thinking about what you want to do in your area to celebrate. We'd love to encourage as many of the chapters as possible to sign up as partners if you have not already. There are a number of partners, either through the chapters or through the Leave a Legacy organizations that have signed up, but we would encourage as many of you as possible to feel free to join us as partners, and we'll explain that. We're going to talk about setting goals and give you some examples of activities that have taken place or are taking place around the country, and then talk about how you communicate your Giving Tuesday goal and activity out to your supporters. Then a little bit about what happens actually on the day of Giving Tuesday and what happens afterward in terms of the opportunity to say thank you and recognize the achievements that we've all made on the day of Giving Tuesday. To kick it off, I'm going to play a very short video.
Be part of something big, a new day on the calendar called Giving Tuesday. After the hype of Black Friday and Cyber Monday, Giving Tuesday is the movement that celebrates giving back. Join millions of Canadians. Give what you can to the causes that you care about. Donate, volunteer, and feel great giving on Giving Tuesday. Be part of the movement. Visit GivingTuesday.ca.
So that's a 30-second introduction. If you're ever looking for a way to explain Giving Tuesday to anybody in your chapter, to anybody in your community, or to the public, that's a great 30-second summary of what it's all about. What some people don't know is that Giving Tuesday is a global movement. It started back in 2012 out of the US, and it quickly spread to Canada and then beyond. So it's now actively, there are active participations in about 70 countries around the world. And so not just for Canadians, but around the world. It's a time when charities and businesses and any kind of local groups, as well as the public, get together to celebrate giving and participate in activities that will help charities and nonprofits in their area. So there's no really one way to participate, and that's going to be a big theme today. You'll see a really wide variety of different ways that people get involved in giving, from donating to volunteering to helping others to really just spreading the word or raising awareness for your mission. Giving Tuesday came to Canada in 2013, and it was led by the Give3 Foundation and Canada Helps, as well as a number of other founding partners, and quickly built up to include thousands of partners across the country. Some of the highlights from last year's Giving Tuesday: it was a huge celebration. There were a little over 3,300 registered charities and businesses and nonprofit groups, and millions of Canadians got involved through donations and volunteering. There were big endorsements from the White House, for example, as well as Barack Obama, Stephen Harper, Justin Trudeau, David Johnston, and as we mentioned earlier, more than 68 countries and 26,000 participating organizations around the world. Canada Helps was able to see a really impressive impact on donations during that day. So looking back into 2013, 2 years ago, there was a lift of almost 170% in terms of the volume of transactions on the Canada Helps platform that at that time of Giving Tuesday. And then in 2014, they got another really impressive lift of 75% over and above the previous year, for a total of 369% over the 2-year period. The other really interesting thing about the donation lift was that it was a lot higher among organizations that actively participated as partners and actually had a program or some kind of initiative that they were doing around Giving Tuesday. So while there was a halo of giving across the country for all nonprofits, the lift that was experienced by partners that really did something to participate was even higher. Giving Tuesday was definitely characterized by sort of the social online phenomenon. So it was a huge Twitter festival with many, many Twitter impressions, lots of activity going on Facebook. And really interestingly, one of the few examples of a situation where there's a really great conversion from social activity, social sharing, to actual donations. So a great number of the donations that came into the online platforms actually originated from Twitter or Facebook posts. The other really exciting thing about Giving Tuesday is that it's so much more than just the donations. So we saw across the country amazing examples of the broader giving, as characterized by giving blood, or making organ donation pledges, or food drives, or shoe drives. There was one organization that organized something called Giving Shoes Day. Another thing we saw in 2014 that was really exciting was the birth of the local movement. So the perfect example of that was a movement that grew out of Guelph, Ontario, called Guelph Gives. And Guelph had set a goal with a mantra, actually: one city, one day, 1 million. So their goal was to raise $1 million. And they ended up beating that goal and raising 1.2. And they also had a huge participation from the community and lots of other types of giving besides the money. So they were a really great example of a community that really drove the blood donations and the organ donations and the other forms of giving that were non-financial. Sorry, I'm getting a message that you're hearing. We have creaky ceilings, and what you're hearing, there's some feedback on the line from people walking above our heads. So apologies, but I hope that you can still hear me. The other fun thing about the local movements is that when these kinds of local initiatives come through, they have a lot of power with local government, and we got mayoral proclamations across the country. So from Halifax to Vancouver and many cities in between, we had mayors stepping forward and saying, this is a giving day. And this was something that CAGP chapters were very active in, leading that initiative to go and see the civic government and see if they could get involved. We also saw a lot of businesses getting engaged with charities of their choice, and you'll see examples of those on the screen in front of you. So heading into Giving Tuesday 2015, one of the first things that we want to encourage is, if you're not already a partner, please do go ahead and sign your chapter up for partnership. It is free, and it only takes a minute. You go to GivingTuesday.ca, and that way you show your support for the movement, but also we can stay connected with you and create a community around Giving Tuesday with access to tools and news and lots of resources. And there are, if you go to GivingTuesday.ca, you'll see there are lots and lots of resources and ideas on how to participate. This is a screenshot of the landing page on GivingTuesday.ca, and the green arrow is pointing to the button that you can click on to become a partner. We are encouraging as many partners as possible. There's no limit, as every chapter can join if they feel like it. And the reason we're really keen to encourage this is the more reach we get, the more tools we can send out across the country, and the more activations we can get, the more it really impacts the launch of this day and the giving season. These are a few of the chapters that have already signed up. So you can see across the country, from some in the east and some in the west, and we're definitely encouraging more of you to join us. If you decide to do this, then we do encourage you to mark December 1st on your calendar. It's going to sneak up on us pretty quickly, and it's great to also bring on board others in your circle and others in your organization so that you can agree on some kind of activity that you're going to do. So that brings us to the whole idea of setting a goal for Giving Tuesday. So the goals can be about donors. It could be driving incremental donations or engaging current donors in some more meaningful way. It could be about strengthening relationships, so perhaps converting a current one-time donor to monthly giving, or a yearly donor to monthly giving. It could also be about volunteering, and it could also just be about awareness. And we're going to talk about that quite a lot in the next couple of minutes. One tip for how to set your goal is to use the SMART philosophy. So make your goal really specific and measurable. Attainable is good. We always like attainable, but we also say set a big goal, because the bigger the goal, the bigger the chance that it's going to really pay back for your organization. And of course, realistic and timely. So those are the SMART aspects. Showing on the screen an example of a campaign that we saw last year. It was called the 500 Sock Challenge. This is a small organization based out of Montreal, and you see there the Giving Tuesday in French is called Mardi je donne. So what this organization did, was they set a goal of raising funds for 500 pairs of socks on that day, and they had a local celebrity that made a little kind of made in the street video, very low budget, and they were able to surpass that objective on that day for Giving Tuesday. So it was extremely specific, and it was they were recommending a specific dollar donation amount, and they were able to achieve and surpass it for their campaign. Here's another really specific example. So this is an organization called Feed Nova Scotia. It's a food bank out in Nova Scotia, in Halifax, and they teamed up with grocery chain Sobeys. Sobeys kicked in a matching gift, and the Sobeys amount was $10,000. So Feed Nova Scotia said, "All right, well we'll raise $10,000, and with the Sobeys match, we'll be able to get to a goal of $20,000." And they use these cute twins and lots of social media, but really well executed on social media, to communicate the idea of the match. And at the end of their campaign, which was just the Giving Tuesday, and I believe it went to the day after, they were able to raise over $100,000 with this simple social media campaign and the match. So that's really quite typical of what we saw last year. A lot of matching opportunities, a lot of opportunities to go out to local businesses and ask for matching, or go out to major donors and ask for matching, using Giving Tuesday as that sort of reason to ask. And the power that had with donors was huge. This is simply an example of some local volunteers working to put winterizing on some windows within a local organization. But volunteering was a way that people engaged in very much last year. So whether it was local businesses getting involved by contributing some of their staff for the day, or contributing some of their local skills, or asking volunteers to host bake sales or do fundraising, or recognizing volunteers by reaching out and thanking them for the contribution that they made during the year. But certainly volunteering is a huge way that people do participate in Giving Tuesday, and we certainly encourage that. These are just some more examples that are a little bit more visual ways of reaching out to your community on Giving Tuesday to say thank you, to say, to donors or volunteers or staff, thank you for the support that you've given us during this year, and raises awareness for the mission, of course. I'm going to hand over to Paul now, who's going to talk about integrating with AFP as well as major donors.
Great, thanks, Liz. So one of the things that's happening in our chapter communities right around Giving Tuesday across the country is our colleagues at AFP's National Philanthropy Day. Quite a number of your teams participate in this event, and wonderfully enough, what is involved in a lot of these days is celebrating local gifts, giving away awards within the charity community, within the public community. And so if you have any of those teams or community members who are building content for National Philanthropy Day, sharing it on Giving Tuesday is a fantastic strategy, and wonderfully enough, requires no new work. So you've already built these philanthropic stories. They're already locked and loaded. Use them in a public way to talk about giving in your community. And of course, it's great collaborating with AFP, as they also have a lot of that more public content and reach. This is also the time to truly activate a planned giving strategy tied to public philanthropy. So we have an opportunity between our board members, who are always looking to talk about philanthropy, activating our advisor networks. This is a day, and we saw some exciting things across the country last year, of advisors saying to clients, looking at all of the national media, newspapers and the major news websites, they're recognizing it as a National Day of Philanthropy, and everybody's talking about giving on that day, and activating advisors to talk to clients to say, here's a day we talk about philanthropy. Can you and I talk about philanthropy today? Your annual gift is coming up. Can we help you to make that gift maybe through securities? You've talked to me about bequests. Is this the way that the day that advisors host some sort of a Leave a Legacy event to talk about bequests in the community? This is philanthropy. This is what we're all about with CAGP and Leave a Legacy. It's our opportunity to do that. So it's a really great way to activate our networks inside our organizations with our advisor community within the CAGP and AFP community. We tell stories. That's what we do so often. And that's one of the greatest things about National Philanthropy Day and in a lot of the work that you do with your charitable organizations and now with stronger CAGP chapters. So this was a great story of Bill and Melinda Gates that they told. And again, so many of you have incredible Leave a Legacy publications in your communities. Now is the time to look at maybe telling those stories in a public way. Yes, through things like social and digital media, but also within your community, having some sort of a gathering or circulating among chapter members and advisor partners, just some way to tell local stories. As Liz mentioned, the most popular thing with both the media and donors and people across the country was talking about local philanthropy. So you'll see as part of this presentation as well, there's a lot more civic groups now, local groups that are participating in this challenge. If you haven't partnered your chapter with one of those local groups, we highly encourage you to do so because they're going to be the hub of philanthropic conversations in your communities. As you tell these stories, another thing that we have often in our own organizations to maybe give over to your communications teams is planned giving stories. Truly, we're at a golden age of bequest stories and different planned giving stories or institutions. This is a great time to give it to the communications team to share in a public way the power of planned giving. Again, the volume on philanthropy, on planning, on giving is going to be raised on that day. Please use this opportunity to tell the stories within your organization of your donors, share with your communications team, and again, the best thing I've seen in the past year was Leave a Legacy teams who've got material sharing it in a public way on Giving Tuesday. We as donor advisors very often don't get very many opportunities, especially at year end, to spend time with our donors. So several people last year had Legacy Society events on Giving Tuesday. So they got their donors in to celebrate their giving, to talk to them about the concepts of what their gifts do, very much stewardship activity, or had another gift planning colleague who booked an entire day of donor visits on Giving Tuesday to sit down with their donors within their Legacy Society to say, look around all of Canada at all the major news stations that everybody's talking about giving today. Today we want to celebrate and talk about our giving with you. And so they booked an entire day of stewardship and donor visits, and it really helped them to move forward their program, but also celebrate their donors in a stewardship and public way. So again, get them in if you can to do some sort of a recognition event or some way of talking to them about philanthropy, or go out to see them on that day. And again, you can take advantage of the raised volume of the activity all over the place, with all the news that's going to happen, to say you're part of all this with our organization. Liz mentioned the whole concept of having matches. This is truly one of the most popular ways that people have raised money for their institutions on Giving Tuesday. So again, activating a relationship you may have with a corporation, with giving groups in your community. Very often people like staff groups or even a board gift match to say, and again, a reasonable amount, something like $2,500 or $5,000, that the organization or rather the board or group will match those gifts coming in through online giving or individual giving that day. So a small match is a way to build and deepen a relationship with a partner, either a major donor, your board, a corporation, or a group, but also to raise more on that day and to grow the relationships in giving. Again, it's just a simple day across the country where everybody between AFP and the media will be talking about it. It's something that you want to take advantage of. We've mentioned civic groups before, and I'll hand it over to Liz to talk about this growing movement across the country, truly probably one of the most powerful advancements of Giving Tuesday in Canada.
Thanks, Paul. So yes, we've mentioned civic groups a few times, and I think what's interesting for CAGP chapters, there are actually a number of these local movements that are being either led or championed by the CAGP chapters. So it's not too late to get started. If you want to start something on the civic side, please do reach out to us. You can contact me through the contact that I mentioned, or just through help or information at givingtuesday.ca. if you're interested in doing something at the local level, even if it's something small. Here are some examples. There are now about 20 of these civic organizations or local organizations, but I just wanted to highlight a few of them from across the country. So if you don't find a local movement in your area, certainly, as I mentioned, you can reach out to us and we can talk about what it would take to start one. When it comes to actually communicating your activity, this is a very important part of the Giving Tuesday plan. So you've set your goal, you've linked up with a local group, you've decided what your activities are going to be, and now you need to tell your own community, your own supporters, what it is that you're doing. So share your goals, share what it is that your activity is, and post lots of Giving Tuesday content so that people will get the message. So this is how we get out to the public. Last year, some of the best campaigns launched early. So they started to reach out to the public a couple of weeks before Giving Tuesday with some teaser messages, or even with the launch of their campaign at that early stage. And a lot of them went on through the month of December and, of course, to the end of December, and that's completely legit. So this is not limited to the one day. We call Giving Tuesday the opening day of the giving season. It's after Black Friday, and it's the day that we start to think less of ourselves and less of shopping and more of our communities, but it certainly isn't limited to that day. Of course, we've talked earlier about how Giving Tuesday is very much axed on the social media. So make sure you're leveraging the social media. So whether it's across your email or Twitter or Facebook, don't forget to use the hashtag GivingTuesdayCA, and the whole umbrella of the activity on that day is amplified by the hashtag, and we will help share your story and bring that to a new level. On the actual day of Giving Tuesday, as we mentioned, tell your supporters what you're doing. Make sure your profile on the Giving Tuesday website is up to date so that we can point at your profile or point at your activity and bring some more attention to it and to you. Be ready for media interest. So one of the really interesting things about Giving Tuesday in the last 2 years is the media find it's a really interesting story, particularly when they're running something on Black Friday. They like to pin on a Giving Tuesday story, but they like to be able to say what is going on in the community that the public can get involved in. How can Canadians participate? So what can we come and cover as a story? Having an activity or having some kind of event is a really great way to make sure that you get cameras and media coverage, and make sure that that's in your profile or that you reach out to us on social media so that we can help direct the media towards you. Follow the hashtag, follow the Giving Tuesday handle on Twitter, and you'll see lots of stuff going on that day, and you'll see all the latest news. As well, keep your supporters up to date. If you have a goal on that day or you have a goal that week, let people know. Let people know your progress against that goal. Afterwards, of course, there's the whole concept of thank you, and we can never say thank you enough. So we've created some Thank You Thursday materials. You get to take Wednesday off, and then if you want to use these resources to say thank you, that's a great opportunity as well. What we saw last year was people that were using the Thank You Thursday materials and the hashtag were able to extend their Giving Tuesday reach and obviously their potential to add donations continued. So if you continue with the thank you, it's going to pay off financially as well. So no matter how you decide to participate, make sure that you're doing something. And if you haven't gotten started yet, don't think of that as a barrier, because it can be as simple as being a social media advocate and raising awareness for your cause, as well as for your community and the need in the community. So we really encourage you to think about getting started, even in a very small way, if it's your first year. Here are some ways to contact us. Please do contact us. I'm also encouraging you to ask questions. Now I know that Anastasia is keeping an eye on the Q&A links, and she's supposed to be letting us know if there are any questions coming in. Now's the time. Don't be shy. Please do go ahead and ask. And if not on this webinar platform, please feel free to reach out to us afterwards, either Paul or myself, or you can contact us through the Giving Tuesday website contact button. So I am not receiving any messages that there are any questions. We have a shy crowd today.
And one of the things that we heard from quite a number of the chapter chairs was that they were going to tune into the recording after. So definitely, if you're one of the teams listening to the recording, thinking about how you get involved or activate your teams, again, please contact us afterward. Probably one of the biggest questions we heard from a lot of the chapter chairs was about getting involved, and the number one thing, that's definitely going to be the Leave a Legacy message, getting out to the public, using those networks and the material that you've built, because it's already there. You've got all the materials, you've got your Leave a Legacy publications, you've got those public networks which you already have, so turn them on about a week before. Encourage people to do that. Again, greatest partners being the advisors, to say now's the time to talk to clients, to book that bequest meeting, to publicly talk about philanthropy, because it's helpful to them, and it's another way where CAGP is bringing value to those relationships. So thank you everybody for joining us today, and again on the CAGP side, if we can connect you with other chairs and see how people are taking advantage of it and connect you into your civic movements, it's something we're really happy to do.
Great wrap up, Paul. Thanks. So thanks to everybody for joining us today, and look for the link. We'll put up the link and circulate it to all those who were not able to attend today. Thanks again. Signing off.